So if Jake were to cut his hair and shave his face and be a miserable adult person like the rest of us and get like a job. So like this is the mindset I need you to be in.
This is a complete hypothetical.
Absolutely it is, yes. Except for that time that you shaved your face and wore like a cowboy hat.
So yeah, actually, this morning, the last few weeks, I let my beard grow out to be super bushy, and man, I hated it. I got cast in this thing in a few weeks. I needed my beard to be super bushy, but man, I just couldn't stand it anymore. So I had to shave it, like trim it down on the sides. It's still full, but I like it buzzed at the sides and long shrub up front.
So like a mullet beard?
Like my normal beard, like my every picture on social media beard. That's what I am right now. I haven't actually fully shaved in a long time. But I always kind of want to, just to mess with people. Have I talked about that story where I shaved on the podcast?
No, but I just happened to have seen you shaved wearing like a cowboy hat and a belt buckle.
The last time I fully shaved off my everything was, or my face, and it was when I was in college. And I was like, you know what, I just want to shave, and I also just want to mess with people. So I fully shaved off my entire beard, clean shaven. I straightened my hair, and then I went to school dressed like a cowboy. It's like cowboy hat, and I had like a flannel shirt on and some tight jeans. I didn't have cowboy boots. And then I still like just went to all my classes, and I sat in my history class. I sat second row right next to the wall, and the professor would come in every day, like 2 minutes behind me, because I would show up 15 minutes early. And in the back, he'd be like, hey, such and such. And then he'd see the other person, hey, such and such. And then, hey, Jake. And, we might talk for a second. And that day he walked in and it was like, hey, person one, hey, person two, hey. And he like looked at me and then stopped before he finished, hey, Jake. And I just sat there just like looking forward. And he was like, he looked so confused, Dr. Murphy. And he walked up to the front of the room and he started pulling his like notes and stuff out of his bag, threw them on the podium, opened it. And as he was flipping through notes 2 or 3 times, he looked over at me and stared. Like he looked super confused. And then eventually he just stared at me for like a long second. I was like, Jake? And like, hey, Dr. Murphy, what's up? And then he just started laughing. He's like, all right, man, sorry, I didn't get it. I was like, oh, I did this very intentionally. And then 2 other professors did similar stuff throughout the day.
I just didn't know what happened to your face, man.
I didn't like the look, man. I thought I looked so much older.
Well, in that vein, I mean, do you envision, I'm going to liken this to sitcoms because, I mean, you've owned a TV in your life. Are you like a character from Workaholics? Are you like Office Space guy? Are you Jim from the, like, where do you fit in the, my soul is broken, but how do you strike out against the man whilst at work?
If I had to have a job, I'd probably be Jim because he just doesn't care. Or like there's the one episode where they have like the Office Olympics, right? Because Michael's out of town, and at the very end of the day, they've screwed around for like 6.5 hours or something, and then the boss comes back. He actually does his work, and then he's like, "Yep, I actually accomplished the same exact amount today that I would have in 30 minutes." Like I would be that guy, probably. When we transitioning into what you said, Workaholics, though, I think I would be in a way like that. However, I still don't know if I like that show.
You haven't figured it out? How many episodes have you seen?
12, maybe. And I watch it, and I'm like, man, this is really funny. Or is it? And I think that every episode. So I don't, except for my favorite episode, that I don't know how I feel about the show.
But isn't that kind of your life, though? Just a bunch of bros living together, doing dumb stuff to keep themselves entertained. I mean... Yeah,
I appreciate it. I just don't know how it transitions to the other audience, like this podcast. I don't know how all the stuff I talk about transitions to an audience.
Well, that's deep, man. I don't actually think of the audience, because then you might get uptight and worry about what you're saying, and how it might offend people.
That's true. So, however, I will say... the Workaholics episode that I was dying laughing the whole time, I can relate to in a lot of ways. And that was the one where they went to the gathering of the Juggalos, where they became ICP fans. I can relate to that.
That's the place where you go, where men become men. Lives are forever changed.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so I've worked for Billy Corgan. I've worked for Afro Man. I've also worked for ICP. And it was great. I have almost nothing but great things to say about that experience. And if you don't know who ICP are, I don't know how you stumbled across this podcast.
Yeah, you're probably the same type of people who don't know how magnets work.
Yeah. So the Juggalo episode is the most factually accurate thing Workaholics has ever done. So it was a gathering 2 or 3 years. And it's literally just like this huge giant campground sprawling. They have 3 to 5 musical stages. There's like a comedy stage. There's music going on all the time. There's comedy. There's carnival rides. There's professional wrestling. And you just go for 4 days and everyone just does a lot of drugs and enjoys music and has a good time.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. Not everyone would enjoy this experience. However, you just go camp for 4 days. And I've never done drugs a day in my life or drank. I went with, several of my friends each year that do. And everyone just had a great time. And I was sober and I still thought it was hilarious. If anything, I thought it was funnier because there's just too much comical stuff going on and people walking around with their faces painted and like stomachs hanging out and yelling weird stuff at each other.
Is there someone there who does the face painting, or do you show up with your face painted?
Everyone does face paint. Everyone paints their own face.
What? But you know how you go to like a fair or something like that? And
There
little kids
should
can
be.
get stuff drawn on
There
their
should
face?
totally be a guy that's just sitting there with painting people's faces.
Yeah, just juggalo you up while you're there.
Oh man, I could have used that to pay for my trip.
Dude, absolutely. Because people would pay for that, especially when they're wasted. It's like, I can't do this to myself.
Yeah,
I
it'd
need
be
help.
like $5 at the beginning of the day, but by the end of the day, it'd be $20. Right before ICP plays, I'm charging like $50.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and if you haven't ever seen ICP live, one of the things during their concert is they shoot and spray Faygo into the crowd for hours.
Because they got money like that.
Yeah, and they take barrel after barrel of 2 and 3 liter of Faygo, and they'll like stab them and like punt them into the crowd and then shake them and spray them. There's a Faygo fire hose where they fire hose the crowd with Faygo, which this sounds disgusting, but actually being in the middle of just this Faygo pit and everyone's face painted and no one has shirts on, male or female, like kind of an enjoyable time, actually.
What were they spraying out of the Faygo fire hose? Do you know?
I heard that they always use, I think, diet root beer.
Okay.
But when they're like shooting and spraying on stage, obviously you can tell like some are grape and some are orange and some are moon mist. But I think that someone always said that like diet root beer was the one that got shot out of the fire hose.
Because no one ever buys it, so there's always a surplus of the diet root beer.
Well, and it's out of respect for Detroit too, because these are cheap, scrubby Detroit kids, so they're buying cheap, scrubby Detroit Faygo like soda, and it makes sense. The white man Detroit struggle.
That's
The
deep.
white trash Detroit struggle.
It's real deep.
Mm-hmm. Give it back to the community. So, I've wrestled for ICP too, and so they're like what the most hated band in the world of 5 to 15 years ago. I don't think a lot of people know who they are now.
Oh, they're still relevant. Come on. But yes, they were definitely not, they're not Grammy winners.
Mm-hmm.
They're not getting a whole lot of recognition in mainstream music.
Their fans were classified as a gang by the FBI. That's
No kidding.
famous. Yeah. Juggalos.
Well, I guess if you think about it, I mean, they're into like petty, obnoxious crime with their face painted, and they do talk about very vulgar things and murdering people.
Yeah, they talk about violent stuff all the time, but they don't actually do violent stuff. But gang-like behavior, I suppose. And they all have their, their colors. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. I mean,
The equivalent of like gang colors, because like they paint their face and wear the same things.
well, they all have, what do they call it? The Hatchet Man and whatnot.
Yeah, the Hatchet Man.
Yeah. There's definitely familiar symptoms of a gang.
Mhm, yeah. So pretty much like everyone like hates them, right? No one like looks at them as artists and this and that. So like they get crapped on a lot. However, one of the things they really love is professional wrestling. And they started their own professional wrestling company years ago. They even had like short run in WCW and WWF back in the day. Like they've done some stuff. And they're not very good, but they try. And I think they always wanted to be professional wrestlers. So they really respect what we do. So in working for them, they actually like treat the wrestlers really, really well because it's like they look up to them. And we got like lots of free food. We got decent pay. We got to hang out with Violent J, like the big fluffy one. And he just talked to us about wrestling.
I like how you describe Violent J as the the big fluffy
There's
guy.
the fluffy one and the anorexic one. All right. We hung out with the fluffy one in case you know what ICP looks like, but you don't know their names.
What was the anorexic one?
Shaggy.
All right, fine.
Shaggy too dope.
I was really hoping to call you out for not knowing. Crap.
I never talked to Shaggy. I hung out with Violent J a little bit, and he was cool. And they respected the hell out of us, I think, because we do what they can't do. Another wrestling at the Gathering of the Juggalos story, they have this ring set up like in the middle, like it's its own stage. So they had a bunch of different wrestling shows, and the fans don't care about wrestling. They just want to see like cool moves and people hurt each other. So during one of the matches, though, there was a lake. If you're like a vegan friend or something, don't listen to this. But there's a lake like a quarter mile away from the ring. So two people are fighting in a hardcore match, and they're using all these weapons like chairs and trash cans and stuff. And eventually somebody throws a fish into the ring. And I mean like an 18-inch long living fish that someone pulled out of the water. I don't know how they caught it, but they caught it and had the foresight to be like, oh, let's take this all the way to the wrestling ring so those dudes can use it as a weapon.
Did it happen?
Oh. And one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen, a fish gets thrown in the ring, it's flopping around. Guy number one grabs the fish by the tail. He boots guy number two in the stomach. Guy number two bends over, and this guy swings the fish by the tail like a chair. It hits the back of guy number two and explodes.
Oh, no.
It like shattered. Just into a million pieces. It got all over the ring, all over everyone in the ring. It got all over the crowd the first couple rows. Man, and then it was 90 degrees the next 3 days. That whole area smelled like fish. That ring and canvas smelled like fish for the next 3 disgusting days.
You couldn't just toast that down with some diet root beer, clean it up?
I would have rather wrestled in the root beer. Oh, and there was another match where it was Jimmy Jacobs, who's a really well-traveled, accomplished wrestler, versus Ultimo Dragon, who is a legendary Japanese wrestler, who comes out and his gear has to cost $1,000.
This was at the Gathering?
At the Gathering, yeah. So, yeah, and they would fly in some gigantic names, and then there'd just be some local guys. So, Ultimo Dragon, who has wrestled in sold-out buildings all over the world, on national TV, international TV, has his $1,000 gear on, and he like stands up on the turnbuckle, and someone throws a root beer at him, like a diet root beer, and it just like ricochets off his $1,000 gear. It might have ruined his gear. And they start having their match, and everyone in the crowd that has a Faygo is spraying the ring, and they're spraying both guys, and the mat got so soaked the dudes couldn't really do much. Like they tried to do a few things and started slipping, so then they were like, well, we better not like move that much. So that's wrestling at the Gathering of the Juggalos.
That would be great if that was staged, though, because there's local events here that, I mean, the names really don't matter, but they bring in guys who were names a while ago, but maybe they're a little older, maybe they're not as spry. Maybe that's the cop-out for why they're not doing a badass suplex or something. It's like, well, there's Faygo all over the place.
Yeah, there's Faygo all over there.
I mean, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah, their check is going to cash regardless. I'd probably use that as an excuse, too. Like, number one, I don't want to break my ankle, and I'm going to get paid regardless of the little I do. A lot of the dudes they would fly in, the huge names, wouldn't do anything anyway. Like, they would just go, do their taunt, or if, Hacksaw Jim Duggan just holds up his 2x4, the crowd goes wild.
Al Snow holds a mannequin head and then moves on.
That's all he ever did. That dude's been worthless for 30 years.
Man, but bet you find him at the drug bridge, though.
Oh, yes. We also... every drug is available at every time of the day at the Gathering of the Juggalos. Like, Pete, just name a drug. Any drug.
Methamphetamine.
Yeah, I'm sure that's there. Name another drug.
Heroin?
Of course heroin is there. Name another drug.
Ecstasy.
Oh, my God. So much ecstasy, Pete. I think actually ecstasy, besides weed, ecstasy is the main drug
at a concert? Absolutely. I got to think.
Well, especially here, because it's just 4 days and everyone's in a good mood and everyone wants to just love and be loved. So we had one of the best campsites on the entire venue when we went. When we went, it was in a place called Cave in Rock, Illinois. It's not there anymore. But it was...
the city is still there. The Gathering is not there anymore.
Well, the country area that it is known as Cave in Rock still exists. It didn't blow up or get burned down or anything. Not out of the realm of possibility for juggalos. But in Cave in Rock, Illinois, it's like 4 or 5 hour drive from here. It was pretty much everything was out in the open. Like there's a lot of trees and wooded area, but there wasn't a lot of room to throw up your tent that wasn't in the sun. But my friends and I, the years we went, we were able to find the perfect area where it was actually surrounded by trees. So we didn't have to camp in the dead sun for 4 days, which is brutal. And they have like communal showers that are super nasty. Every time of day, except for exactly 10 a.m. when they get cleaned. That's the only time I would shower. And so because no one had been in there yet. So, but we were conveniently located next to what was referred to as the drug bridge. So we would just go like, I wouldn't, but anyone else who wanted to get screwed up, all they had to do was walk to the drug bridge. I could have legit rolled out of my tent and just like half shimmied up this little hill and been right on the drug bridge and bought ecstasy in any form I want, because people shape the pills and put little stickers on the pills. So people be like, hey man, you want some yellow Bart Simpsons? Or people like, oh yeah man, you got some green rainbows today? Like name a color and a thing. It doesn't matter what it is, and ask for it. And they'd be like, hell yeah, I got that today. I got some red horseshoes for you, dog.
Well, what's real funny is people can't see all the air quotes you throw up when you say clean. Like, and you've never done drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly know a lot about, Yellow Bart Simpsons.
Bro, I know everything about like purple homers. Name 2 things. Name a color.
Green.
Green. Name a thing. Could be anything.
Could be anything. Oh, see, all my immediate thought was turtle, but that's lame because a turtle should be green.
You want some blue turtles, bro?
Blue turtles would be fun.
Yeah, then go up to the drug bridge and ask for some blue turtles. Someone will hook you up. Oh, I forgot to mention too, since we're talking about places in the gathering, the fish, it got taken out of what everyone called Lake Hepatitis.
So, it's a clean area. That's what it sounds like.
Dude, by day 2 or 3, everything there is kind of dirty. Like I didn't want to go in the lake after day 1 or 2 because
people went in the lake.
Oh, dude, yeah, people swim in this. They were in this thing all the time. But yeah, I didn't want to go in Lake Hepatitis. I think I did on day 1, but not day 2, 3, or 4 because it just seemed skankier.
I like the evolution of this whole story. If Jake had to be a normal person and go to a job, and he manages to take it to Lake Hepatitis. So,
oh yeah,
good. The evolution is solid.
I don't want to be a normal. I'm just gonna say, okay. What I was getting at is I don't want a normal job. I always want to work for someone like ICP, Afroman, Billy. Doesn't matter. But I always want to do that kind of a job. Like I don't want a real job.
I want to drink Faygo and contemplate magnets, man.
Yeah, I don't drink soda, but at the gathering, I had some Faygo. It got shot in my mouth. Like
nothing I could do.
Yeah, nothing I could do about it. And when in Rome, behave like the Romans.
Just drink moon mist all day, every day.
Well, yeah, when at the gathering, drink some moon mist.
Wash down your purple homers and blue turtles.
Yeah, exactly. And just fade away for a few days. And they would actually bring in, it wasn't all rap either. I think Slipknot might have played there one year. And I saw Head PE there multiple times.
Ooh.
There were a lot of really badass bands that were there. Vanilla Ice killed it.
Dude, he goes by VI now, but I respect it.
VI, does he? Do you remember MC Chris?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I'd only ever heard like one thing about MC Chris before I ever went. So I went to the main stage that night and I was like, all right, I'll go, but this sounds lame. This dude comes out on stage, legit, the entire crowd boos him. There's like boo, and they're like hating on him, right? And I should say, while people are performing, people throw stuff at him. People are throwing beers, batteries, Faygo, sometimes chairs and coolers. So people are throwing stuff at this dude, and he's on stage, and you know what? He just starts doing his thing. He starts rapping, he starts joking, and he had like 45-minute set, maybe 20 or 25 minutes in, he turned the entire crowd onto his side. The entire crowd loved him. They thought he was hilarious. Everyone was roaring because the dude just went out there and he did his thing. It was just like, and having fun. He made everyone else have fun. It was contagious.
Like Hepatitis.
Yeah, exactly. And then every year they would always have one act they would book to get booed off stage. So like at some point every year there would be one guy who they would trash him so much and throw so much stuff at him that person would just leave.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, something like that.
No, I think the Red Hot Chili Peppers would fit in really well here. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a gathering at some point. You can tell me Flea and Anthony Kiedis don't want a Purple Homer.
They probably bring their own purple homers from place to place.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one place they know they're going to make more money because they just get given purple homers.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
We leave our stash at home. It's all here.
So I don't want a regular job. That sounds awful. I want to have stories like this. So if you have any ideas, like if crazy stuff like this I can do, if some dude needs a bodyguard, like, and does wild stuff, I don't know, hit me up.
So you're just looking for that Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston relationship.
They have a relationship?
Have you not seen The Bodyguard?
Oh, no. He's a bodyguard?
No, he was in a movie called The Bodyguard.
I know. Was he the bodyguard?
Yes.
I don't know if I buy that. I prefer my Kevin Costner to play baseball.
Understood.
He's in so many baseball movies.
I understand he plays baseball in real life, too. Or did.
His Field of Dreams, For Love of the Game. For Love of the Game is one of my favorite movies.
Tin Cup? Except he was a
golfer. Same thing. Yeah, same type of sport. Probably a great movie. Draft Day. Somewhere, right? I haven't seen it yet. Probably good.
I didn't know you know the entire works of Kevin Costner.
I love Kevin Costner. Seriously, For Love of the Game is one of my favorite movies.
Do you love him more than Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire?
Tough, because I love Tom Cruise in 1 or 2 roles, and I love Kevin Costner in like 3 roles. So I probably like Kevin Costner a little bit more, but Jerry Maguire is special to me.
I think we've learned some things about Jake today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go watch For Love of the Game. Great movie. And then go YouTube an ICP music video. If you don't know who they are. Like Miracles. And YouTube Miracles.
And if you ever see Jake in person, the gift he appreciates most, copy of Jerry Maguire on VHS.
Have I ever talked about that?
No.
Okay, yeah. So I do have 13 copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS. As I went to a Goodwill or a thrift store one time, and as a joke, I saw 6 copies on VHS of Jerry Maguire. And I bought them. And when I was ringing out, the girl looked at me like I was insane. And I just looked at her and I was like, I don't know what it's going to be, but someday this is going to be a great practical joke. And then she just smiled and she gave me a hell of a discount. Like she typed in 1 or 2 more things and I got everything for half price. They're all like a quarter. So, and then every time I would go to Goodwills and stuff, I would just pick up another one. So I have 13 copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS now. At a show 2 years ago, I showed up, opened my bag, and there was a copy of Jerry Maguire on VHS. I flipped. I was so happy. And I was looking around to see who was there to see the reaction, like who put that in my bag. Yeah, what a great surprise. Made my day a lot better.
So there you go.
I don't actually like the movie. That's what makes this better. It's just an okay movie.
I think you just need to start signing autographed copies of Jerry Maguire at VHS and selling them.
At the merch table? That's a great idea. Oh my goodness, I'm going to do that in my next show. And my 8x10s, my t-shirts, my stickers, and then signed copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS.
And anyone who knows now knows the deal.
Yeah. I'll just tell them I was in it. It was a small role.
I was the kid.
I was a kid.
This is what I look like now.
I bet people believe that rumor if I said it convincingly enough. That was me. Yeah.
God, I hope not. I just changed my name, dyed my hair.
Child actor. But I have been in several movies, Pete. Major productions.
That's true.
Stories for another day, though. All right. Thank you, Pete. I will we'll catch you next Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I don't know. Tuesday's the idea. At Off the Cliff Pod on everything. At Jake Oman 2012. At Multimedia Hustle. And we will catch you later.